Hi, everyone, and welcome. Just going live in all the places, so give me a moment. I'm Rachel Chamness at soundwavesheal.com. I'm using the podcast overlay here because I really want to turn this into a podcast, and I think that I will for January. So let's see. Whoop. Let's go back to this one. Let me know that you're here. I'm a little bit late today. So yeah, just let me know that you're here. So hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Chamness at soundwavesheal.com. I'm a shamanic channel and mentor, and this is Live in 5D, where I come live every Thursday at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, and I give special attention to those who are in my 5D daily group. If they have questions, then I will answer them. And of course, I know some of you are here also in YouTube, and I see you, and I know you're also in my group. So you don't have to switch if you're on YouTube. But hello, Lori. Hello, Teresa. Nice to see you. I'm glad to be here today. And what I wanted to talk about today was how to handle psychic attack. And this is not going to be a scary conversation. This is going to be an empowering conversation. Like why psychic attacks happen, hexes, curses, entity attack more. Why would this happen to you? What can you do? This is what I wanted to talk about today. And I think I might have to sneeze. Hold on. Okay. All right. Let's see. I've got it all set up. Okay, so I don't know if you've seen it, but I replayed episode 10 in my 5D Channels and Chats podcast yesterday and today. And the reason I did is because I think it's so important during the holiday times to really check in with the versions of ourselves that we are now and the versions of ourselves that our family and friends are holding us in a holding pattern. So I don't want to repeat the whole podcast, but I want to just say that there is a relationship here between how we feel and how other people see us, and how those two versions of us can really clash when we are with other people that we love. So whether it's our family or our friends of a long time, when people are holding a vision of the way you used to be, it is very strong because we really do have a lot more power of energy than we think. So have you ever done this exercise where you sit in a group, and everybody is thinking great thoughts about one person? Have you ever done that? So the one person tries to think a bad thought about themselves, and everybody else thinks a good thought about them. And it can just be four people. Like, it works. You cannot even think of a bad thought while everyone's beaming wonderful things at you because they're just thinking about you and how great you are. Well, unfortunately, the opposite is just as true. So if people are thinking bad things about you, or saying bad things about you, well, those can be accidental hexes and curses. And I'm sure that you've done it before too. And I'll tell you how to release it if you have. But it is very true. So, what do we do about this? This is part of what I want to talk about. But I also want to talk about, like, why do we get psychic attacks? Like, why do entities attack us? Why does this happen? So let's start with that, okay? First of all, spirit guides allow this to happen to you. When you are a light worker, or when you are working with the light, your spirit guides will allow you to sometimes get an entity attached or something like that, just because it teaches you how to deal with it, how to clear it. It helps you up level your talents, especially if you're a healer, or perhaps it's trying to get you to get the skills to be a healer, because I know that my guides have been saying a lot lately. It's really time for everyone to be Reiki 1 attuned, at least. So this sort of up level, this permanent up levels, permanent self-healing that Reiki 1 gives you is so important. And in my psychic Reiki healing course, I think it's just something that is so important and beautiful to experience, to have this up level, to have this self-healing technique and be able to heal your friends and family and your plants and your animals. I think that's all in my psychic Reiki healing level 1 for sure. You can see that on my site. But all of that is just really important. And so you might be being called to that if you're being attacked. You might be being called to up level yourself more. Perhaps you're Reiki level 2, or perhaps you're sort of an intermediate healer, but you don't know something your spirit guides are trying to teach you, basically. So they're letting this happen. So what do? You go to a healer to be healed, right? And in that session, you'll learn why you have the entity, or hopefully you will. I definitely teach all my students to do this, and I'm always saying it. You have to know why a person's being attacked spiritually. You really do. If you don't, then it can just bring a copycat almost immediately. So you must know why there's an entity there. You must know the reason. And once that's cleared, then you can go on with the healing. And if it's not cleared, or you don't know why it happened, then you can just get a copycat almost immediately. So, people sometimes say, I had this cleared, but then I got it back. It came back. And so now I need a different healer to clear me. And I'm usually like, well, did they tell you why you had the problem? Because it's the why that's the most important. Probably didn't get the same entity back, but you needed to know why. So if you have an entity and you can't get a healing session because, maybe you don't have the funds or something, then if you can figure out why, if you can do shadow work, if you can call in your guides and helpers, if you can do all the things that you can do, you might be able to clear it yourself. But it is tricky because when you have an entity, now your vibration is low. And so that makes it hard to clear. So I usually go to someone else if I feel I'm, fighting something away, or maybe even have something. It happens to me, happens to everyone. Because what happens is when your vibration goes low because something happened, or you get mad, or you get triggered, then these things can grab onto you right then. And don't think they're not waiting around when you do as much light work as like I do, like waiting around to get you as soon as that happens. However, when you're at a higher level, sure, you're a brighter light and they might try to get you. However, you know all the techniques, and even if it comes near me, it's not going to get me. Like it's way easier to deal with. Very, very easy. You can spot them immediately, So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. That's how it happens. We are just human, and sometimes we can come down in frequency, and when we do, the entities get us. But when they do, there's a reason why. They have a purpose. They are sometimes trying to teach us something. I talk to the entities and ask them before you get transformed, into something else, tell me why you're here. And then they will tell me. And sometimes they're helpful, like really helpful. They're not tricking me or anything. They know they have this is your last thing you get to say before you get transformed. And they're not always really horrible things. And I used to clear them with all kinds of lower vibrational feelings like, F you, you're my client, you're hurting my friend, get out, I'm transforming you, and you're never coming back. Ha 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 ha, I mean, of course I did it with light and with angels, but that was kind of like underneath it, I got it, and that was a long time ago. And now I have learned that now, if you transform with love, it's so much easier. When you're like beaming them love and you're like, why are you here? They will tell you. So if you're a healer, please add that to your healing. It's really, really important. Now, going back to hexes, curses, entity attacks, and talking about, what I was talking about in the beginning, which is that this other podcast that I put out about the dynamics of the family and how it can affect you, and how when people think things about you, how that can be hard to fight against. How can you do that? Well, I think one thing is really important to know that yes, people can put a spell on you by using words that are negative, and they could do that intentionally or unintentionally. And you could actually use the wrong sort of, thing to bring something to you as well. Like, I personally do not use the moon at all for any kind of anything. And I don't use anything called spell casting, although I do know that has a variety of flavors between for the highest good and all and all the way to trying to affect another human being. But we should always know that we need to keep our energy to ourselves. And even for our clients, that you don't want to do any kind of spell or anything on anybody hurting them unless you use the highest light of all. I use angel fire for this. This is just a prayer to the angels to ask them to intervene for the highest good of all. And that really works because that helps the person who's doing the bad thing too. And it takes them away from the client who is being hurt. And this is something I do all the time. My Angel Fire class is $11 on my site. It's very inexpensive. And that is what I do to help people in this situation, and it does work. So you don't need to curse or hex or use anything but love to transform things. And I also talked about this in my podcast with Carrie Mook. We talked about this extensively. It was really one of my favorite podcasts. So yes, when people can put a spell on you using words that are negative, you can also do that to someone else. And you could also use some sort of something that you think is going to help you, but carries a vibration of something that you don't want and could, that's what I was talking about before, like maybe use something that you didn't realize wasn't great and it kind of got you a little bit. Well, then you can use this phrase, okay? This was taught to me by David Arms, who's a great healer. And the phrase is, I intend to create nothing negative for anyone or anything, including myself. That way, if you accidentally hexed or put a spell on someone, or you did something that you realized you shouldn't have done, or you actually used some sort of system that had negative entities on it, or I'm referring to the moon, or anything like that, then, you can release yourself from anything negative that was attached to that for the highest good of all, right? And that can kind of clean up anything that you might have done that you feel like, or like I say that all the time, every day, because you just never know what you said. And also because you never know how you felt. I mean, we're just humans here. Like, we're doing the best we can. We can't just be all love and light all the time. Like, things are going to happen and we have to deal with them and we're going to learn from them and then we're going to go on. So yes. So let's talk about a few of these things. Hexes, spells, curses, jinx. I understand that words can be used differently, but let's just go through a few of them. Spells. Okay, so spells are intentional words, okay? So even the law of attraction is kind of a spell. The intentions of your law of attraction is important, that you are feeling the feeling and all of that. I know, hopefully you guys know about the law of attraction. I talk about it all the time. So law of attraction intentions is like a good side of a spell. Like if you're trying to improve your life or change a habit, you can use law of attraction and you can say words that are positive to help you. And then there's a negative, which is what I was saying before, where you're using words or spells to create something negative for someone else. And in that case, then you should release yourself by saying, I intend to create nothing negative for anyone or anything, including myself. Now, I know that has a lot of negative words in it, and there's a whole thing about your brain not understanding no, but I can just promise you that I have tried to rewrite that, but this is the most powerful way to say that. So I would just not worry about it. And it's your intention that works there. Okay, don't get too bogged down with rules. Always know it's the intention that means the most. So people can put a spell on you, right? By using words that are negative. And they could be doing that intentionally or unintentionally. I said that before, but it's really important, when people talk bad about you or if you talk bad about other people, this is sort of a spell in itself, right? If you hear that old, voice in your head of someone saying something negative about you when you were a kid, or, if someone said something negative to you a lot, that's, mental abuse, definitely. So a lot of us had that. And that is a sort of spell in itself. I mean, that's how people manipulate you, right? That's how the media manipulates you. That's a big thing, that like the whole CIA thing, where they just repeat the words over and over until you begin to say them. That's a spell too. And we saw a lot of that in 2020, where every news station was saying the exact same thing in different ways, and it was all to program us. So spells can be programming. So you want to release yourself from programming and spells as much as you can. If someone has done a spell or a hex on you, then what you can do is you can talk to their higher self. So you just say, I'm sending a message to the higher self of so-and-so, and I just want to say to you, what you're doing is really negative. It's affecting me, and that means it's affecting you because, it's coming back to you. So for your greatest and highest good, you should always intend to never to never create anything negative for anyone or anything, including yourself and including me. So I think that you should stop. So this is a technique that I've used, and it works because, I've had people unintentionally hex me over and over because they were mad at me. Very powerful light workers who I'm sure their intent was not to actually hex me, but was just mad at me for whatever reason. So, which actually was like a big misunderstanding, but whatever. So I had to clear this one person who did it so many times. Now I finally had to talk to her higher self, and actually that helped, but didn't work completely. Ended up having to send her an email saying, look, it was a really nice email, sort of hinted at the same thing. And I don't even know if she read it, but it worked. After that, I didn't have any problems. And yes, you can say I intend to create all the positive things in my life and everyone else's, but I find it doesn't work as well as the other one, but whatever. If it works for you, it's great. I tried to rewrite it, like I said, many times, but I just didn't feel like it was great. The rewrite, it does, I think, because of who I learned it for and how many people say this phrase with that intention, it has a lot of intent in it that's stronger than rewriting it, is what I found. So that's why I still use that. Okay, so let's talk about more. Let's talk about a jinx. What's a jinx? It's a temporary spell. It's a sort of a spell. Okay, a jinx is a temporary sort of spell put on someone to cause misfortune. It's usually to teach them a lesson, and you can do this unintentionally as well. If you said something like, oh, I hope that person learns their lesson, or, ooh, karma come up for them, or something like that, then you're unintentionally jinxing someone. So that's, again, where you want to release yourself from anything that you might have said. Again, I use the phrase like every day, just in case. You never know what came out of your brain, Now, a hex is when you do the same thing, but it's more powerful. So you're causing misfortune on someone because either intentionally you're trying to hurt them, which is not for the highest and greatest good of all, or unintentionally because you're mad and you're just saying whatever. You're just throwing your feelings out, which, happens. So if that happens, then, you want to use that phrase again. If you were to curse things and think bad things about them because they hurt you, that's where you can really make that hex unintentionally. And especially if you're a Reiki master or you work with a lot of channeling, you could be channeling something dark for them. You really don't want to do that. So you really, really want to really make sure you don't do that, or recall or destroy or, get rid of anything that you might have said. Because hexes can cause misfortune to a person until they're released, or until that person can release it or rise above it. Now, hexes, curses, spells, they're very easy to release. This is not difficult. I teach this, I think, in Reiki 2, my psychic Reiki healing level 2 is where I teach it, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I teach it in psychic Reiki healing 2, level 2. And it's not something that needs to cost a lot of money. So if someone's trying to charge you a lot of money for a hex, it's usually a scam, just so you know. Also, I'm not going around saying, hey, so-and-so, you have a hex and I can remove it for you. That's always a scam, I talked about that recently. So let's talk about karma. The only karma you need to worry about is your law of attraction. Whatever you're putting out in the world is coming back to you. We are coming off the karmic wheel from previous lives. So anything in a previous life that's happening to you now, you don't need to go back and, you can clear a past life, like clear it from affecting this life, but you don't need to go and fix your karma from 1,000 past lives. That's also a trap that can keep you trapped for a long time. And it can really do a number in your head. Instead, know that any karma you need to release that's from a past life is showing up in this life. So as you clear yourself, as you up-level yourself with shadow work, as you do all those things, that's all released. So don't worry about that. Karma is literally now in this life just things that you have set in motion that's coming back to you, or it's a law of attraction feeling that you're feeling that's being magnified for you to so that you learn to clear it and to get past it, or it's something you put in motion, like I said before, and you need to release it. If you do have some negative intention for someone, you accidentally or purposefully put a hex or spell on someone, then you want to clear that up, because it will affect your karma. Just like I was saying, in that technique of how to speak to someone's higher self, the person who might be doing it to you over and over, and you have to keep clearing it, also it's affecting them too. So it's really, really important. Now, what's a curse? A curse can be generational. So if someone curses you, it can now be in your generation. We all have curses in our generation or ancestral line that we need to clear. You probably know this already, because this is part of our mission here on earth, is to clear up our ancestral lines. But anything done can be undone. Curses, hex, spells, whatever. So you can just clear it. I teach a really good technique of ancestral clearing. Again, I didn't check, but I think it's in my Psychic Reiki Healing Level 2, or it's in the Reiki Master. I'm not sure. I think it's in Level 2. My Level 2 is pretty big now. If you have my Psychic Reiki Level 2, you might want to go into the program and see how much I've added. I add stuff to my programs all the time, and that was a big one. So there's all kinds of ways to do that. And if you're in Tag Lightworkers, there is a meditation for that. It's the Tree and River Spirits will help you clear up your ancestral line, or you can do it in a session with me or with any of my master practitioners know how to do it for sure. So, like I said, anything done can be undone. You can raise your frequency above something, but sometimes that hex or spell doesn't go away until you find out what it is that you need to learn. Just like the entities that I talked about before, sometimes you just need to learn the lesson. One time I had a hex that completely wiped out my computer, and I had to, I lost everything. I did end up getting back the 40,000 photos of my family and my life, thank goodness. And I now have it in several places. And in fact, I knew that I had it on a little disc that I looked for over a year. And after I restored everything, I found it. So I don't know what that was about. The Fae are trying to teach me something about that, I'm sure. But anyway, I guess it was just about whatever I had to learn. Sometimes when that happens, you can say, oh, I must have learned my lesson, because here it is, it's back, right? So any Reiki practitioner or practitioner of the light or light worker who is trained knows how to clear all these things. And so if you don't know how to do it, you can go to someone like me who can clear it for you, or you can learn how to do it yourself. So that's really the best way to deal with attacks, curses, hex, and spells. Try to find the problem, talk to the person. Like I said, try to clear it from yourself. Try to release yourself from any hex, spell, or curse you put on that person or another, that it could be like that sort of karmic connection that you need to clear. And know that the most important thing to know is to release the drama. So sometimes too, and this works on entities too, you have an entity removed, and then you go tell your friends, oh my God, you're not going to believe what this psychic found on me, blah, blah, blah. And then you start getting into the feeling of how gross it is, and oh my God, can you believe it? And then you can call back another one. So reliving the drama of things that have been cleared from you can also bring them back. So make sure that you just release the drama, raise your vibe, forgive yourself, forgive the person. They're just, human, messing up, and maybe not someone you want to be friends with. That's fine, but just forgive them, And I would have a system to release them often, have regular sessions. If my sessions aren't within your budget, then know that I have practitioners that are master practitioners that have very reasonable and very competitive pricing. Missy Sullivan does a lot of clearing, and she even has an incredible monthly deal that clears you every single week. So you should check those out under my packages if that's something you need. And you don't have to do it forever, but until you learn how to really work on that, if you're having repeated attacks, that's something that can really, really help you. And I really think that you should become a practitioner and empower yourself. If you're having a lot of trouble with spiritual attack, that's really a sign. You need to learn more. You don't want to be dependent on a healer to always clear you. When you learn how to do these things yourself, you can really mitigate this stuff so easily. And also, you have a great barter power, right? So yes, if I get an entity, I can go clear it myself. It takes longer. It's annoying. It's really annoying. Okay. It's so much easier to go to my partner friend who clears me and I clear her, or go to someone who can clear me and have them just do it. And then I can barter and clear them the next time, right? And then that is fantastic. That's fantastic. Okay, so Starseed Wisdom says, I was saying about people that lied about me and made up nasty rumors, karma is coming up for them. About a week later, I ended up in the hospital. Since then, I do not ever say that. Lesson learned. Wow. Luckily, it wasn't anything serious. Yeah. Do you see? It is so smart and like shows that you have a lot of contact with your spirit guides that you receive that message. You're like, oh, this is because I said that. You know, it wasn't anything serious because it was just a lesson, right? And that is definitely something that happens. So I hope this is helpful for you all. I just think that empowering my clients is the most important thing. I want you guys to be empowered and not have to be reliant on someone all the time. You know, what if you get an entity or something happens like Christmas Eve if you celebrate Christmas, or right before Hanukkah or something? You know, it's like, or Yule. You know, you don't, everyone's off and you don't want to have to go. And, you know, it's great if you can just do something that helps yourself understand and know how to clear yourself. I think clearing yourself is difficult. Honestly, I think it can be very difficult. And that's why I love the barter power. And Reiki and similar modalities like that's really a must for ascension times. So it's this really great time to empower yourself. You know, we don't need to be gurus. That's disempowerment. We have to empower ourselves with understanding of how to work with these systems that are out there and are, you know, affecting us all the time. So those are great ways. And here's another way I'd like to share, and that's switch words. Switch words are affirmations that bypass the thinking brain. This is something that I've been talking about for so long. I'm sure you can search my YouTube channel or my blog to find about it. But there's a great affirmation that helps you. Well, these are great affirmations that help you bypass the thinking brain because they just contain a positive charge and the words themselves don't really mean much to your brain. So again, remember how I said, I like this phrase, I intend to create nothing negative for anyone or anything, including myself, because it has a lot of positive charge because so many people say it. In the same way, switch words work that way. So you like the universal switch word that works for everything is together. That's a beautiful switch word. And you'll see these switch words once you learn them. You'll see them in like advertising and stuff because they work so well. Like I'm reaching out, like that's one. But anyway, they're great because they kind of bypass the thinking brain. So you can just say them and they kind of mean nothing to the brain, but they work. They're almost like a positive spell in themselves, right? So here's a really good one that you can say on the way to seeing your family or your old friends, or anyone that you feel that you might be caught in sort of a negative or a negative paradigm or a negative past version of yourself with them. And that is together, divine harmony. So together is a really powerful switch word. Like I said, it's like the ultimate switch word. The most powerful one to bring people together too is together. And divine harmony helps unite a group of people or family and just helps to unite and feel good. Like it's just harmony, you know? So you want to just bring it all together. Together, divine harmony. And how do you use switch words? You just say them. Together, divine harmony. Together, divine harmony. So you can say that on your way. And other things you can do to clear yourself or your room. Here's some techniques I used to use before I had Reiki. Well, one thing is I used Angel Fire. Again, $11 on my site. If you go to Sound Waves Heal and look under courses, you'll find my free Spirit Guide Masterclass, which includes all the things. And then my $11 Angel Fire. Well, it's $11 today. Hopefully it'll be $11 for a long time if you're listening to this in the future. But it is a really great way to learn how to clear things. So all you do with Angel Fire is you calling in the angels with a thought. And it's a really quick way to get relief. And it's a great way to heal people without using your own light. And it's a great way to like do some protection. And the class teaches you that. So some things that I used to do is I would just call in all the angels in every molecule of the room. Let's just say like I feel like there's something in this room and I'm all freaked out. I don't know what to do because I don't have any skills. This is me a long time ago. Then I learned to call in angels, come in every single molecule of this room. Now, if there's an angel in every single molecule of the room, then there can be nothing negative, right? So that's something that could help temporarily. Another thing, which you probably know, is to call in Archangel Michael, call in your spirit guides and helpers, you know, call in, I actually call in also the power and the helpful ability of crystals. So any crystal that you own, you could call in like the help from them. Or I have also before used, I didn't have a crystal with me. I actually did this the other day. I was healing someone. I didn't have this type of crystal. So what I did is I made a call out and I said, hey, if there's any apophyllite out there that's not owned or doesn't have an intention yet, like that's in a crystal shop, could I use your energy now to help heal this person? You know, it's for breathing in the lungs. It's really good for that. And it worked. That's pretty cool. They were like, sure. I mean, it was just temporarily, you know, I wasn't asking them to do it forever, just for the next, you know, day or so. And so that's really cool. And then I was like, just made the intention that it was released after that, you know, once someone owned it, you know, someone bought it. So that's kind of another thing to do. And then another thing you can do is talk to people through the airwaves with Archangel Gabriel. This is on my blog post. If you just go to soundwavesheal.com/blog and put Gabriel in the search box, it'll come up. And that is a great way to send someone a message that you don't want to actually talk to. And another thing is just to take radical responsibility for every single thing that's ever happened to you. You know, this is happening because of something I did. Then to forgive yourself, take the responsibility. You would be shocked what that does. I did that recently and I healed so many things within myself. I just couldn't believe it. Like I started sending love to people who like really, really did terrible things to me. And I was like, who am I? Because girl, or everybody, I shouldn't say girl, I see girls on here. But listen, I'm a Sagittarius like ×4, so I can get really fiery. But I found myself sending love to people who, yeah, did terrible, terrible things to me. So you never know what you can do by taking radical responsibility for everything. You're just saying everything that's happened to me is because of my emotions, or I brought it to me, or my law of attraction, or my karma, or my intent to learn something in this life, something I put ahead of myself in this life to experience. And so I did, and I've learned my lesson. So it had a positive result, or it was for a good reason, you know? So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I really weird that I don't see anybody in my 5D daily. Like usually I see the comments, but I don't see any. So I have a feeling that Facebook is not my friend today. Because, oh, look, here they are. Oh, hi. Now I say I've refreshed. Jennifer, Shireen, Erica, Jessica, Angeline, sorry. Alani and Candy. Hi, everyone. Okay, so does anyone have any questions? This kind of ran long. I probably repeated myself a few times. So let me know if you have a question. I'll stay on for one more minute. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'd love to invite you to listen to my podcast that I put up on YouTube this morning or everywhere else yesterday, and really see how that can help you for the holidays. And also want to tell you that next week and the week after that, the 26th and the 2nd, I won't be actually live, but I will be running some podcasts that I think are the most important podcasts that I have that can help you the most. So next week I'll be running normalizing the way that we receive messages every day from Spirit. And then the week after that, I'll be running 10 clairs, the 10 clairs and how you might have them already and what they look like. So I hope that you guys will still tune in and watch because they'll be really helpful. So here's some questions. Let's see. Okay, so Jessica says, what about generational curses or hexes? Can we work on that or learn what they stem from? Yes, that's what I was talking about earlier. Those are actually curses, and I teach how to clear that in my Psychic Reiki healing course, but also they're not hard to clear. So if you can learn how to clear them, they're pretty easy. And then there's many ways to clear generational curses. You can go to a healer like me. If you're in Tag Lightworkers, you can do the tree and river ancestral clearing meditation. I also have some donation-based healings that clear ancestral things. I think you'll have to look. I'll have to look. But, you know, that's easily done. So you can even do like a mini session with someone about that. to clear curses and hexes. Now, generational curses, it could actually, maybe that's a little bit longer than a mini session. So Glow says, if I put out truth, why do I keep getting liars and lies? Well, Glow, then that might mean that, that's showing you that there's something you haven't healed. There's something there that you haven't healed. Go to a healer that you trust to find out why it's happening, get some answers, or trans-channel your spirit guides if you do that and get some answers. Why is this happening? What do I need to heal? And you will find out what is it that needs to be healed. I would say it's probably something about, self-worth, self-love. There's something there that still needs to be healed. Okay, Courtney is talking about star seeds. I have heard of earth seeds and star seeds. Have you heard of angelic star seeds? I have heard karma is different for them. Thank you. Karma is the same for all of us because we're in a human life. No matter what kind of lives we had before, all of us have had lives on other planets. All of us have had most likely lives as angels and other beings. Yes, it's possible that you're only an earth star seed, but I have to say, I don't really believe that very much. I don't think that anyone was like, let's try Earth out as my first life and I'll just come here 1,000 times. But maybe some people did and they just aren't my clients. I don't know. I don't see that. It could be true. I'm not going to throw it out. I don't think I've ever gotten that message for someone. And maybe I haven't. I'm not remembering it. But mostly, where's my pendulum? Mostly, I see that people have had many lives, many of us have been angels and all kinds of other beings. So you would still have the same kind of karma in this life. I have a friend who I am certain was an angel many, many, many times. And in his life, he's passed. In his life here on Earth, he was an angel to many people, even though his own life was kind of a train wreck. And, it's an interesting thing to see because I can see him from beyond the veil and I see how he helps people and how he came here to just really experience something totally different. But he still had a lot of things happen to him, a lot of karma, things that he put in motion. And, it's just interesting. It's just an experience that he had here on Earth. And now he's back to being his more angelic self. Okay. And one last question here. Glow says, I constantly do self-love and self-respect spells on me. Well, doing, trying to put a positive thing on yourself is great, but you still have to clear the negative thing underneath it. Like the spell doesn't do the work for you for shadow work. Shadow work needs to be done. And shadow work doesn't have to be a thing that like ruins your life or makes your life miserable. It can actually be easy. I have a shadow work blog post that absolutely helps you. It's at soundwavesheal.com/blog and put shadow work shadow in the search box and you'll find it and it'll help you with many ways to do it. So it's more than just putting in the positive. You have to clear the negative too. That's how healing works. And I love to help people with that. And you do shadow work too. Okay, well then it might just be something your guides are still leading you to. There's no end to shadow work. I've worked on things where I worked on them for 30 years and they still rear their head sometimes because we can have layers of healing. So sometimes you feel like you've cleared it all, but then another layer comes up. It could also be, the way that you are speaking it into existence. If you keep speaking of it in the future instead of speaking of it in the past, it could be that you are restarting it too. We don't put enough faith in the law of attraction, all of us. We think we can say something, but I have learned that if I ever say something, I do work to release anything I said. If I have to tell someone something that's happening in the present so I can get cleared from it or whatever, then I work on saying that it's in the past, that it's over, feeling the feeling of that, to let it go, let it go, let it go, so that I don't carry that forward. I try to watch everything I say, and it's really important that you guys do that. It's part of our learning here is that law of attraction's deep. It's deep, man. We gotta really, really work on it. So, okay, I hope that was helpful. Thank you all so much for coming, and I'll see you in 3 weeks, but please watch my podcast that I'm running next 2 weeks because I think you'll love them. Okay, bye. Have a good day.